brings a tear to my eye.
Indeed, and in fact, it is the memory of an old Christmas card in the morning time. Good morning to you, Grenada, Carrick, Petite Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. Grenada, wake up, wake up, wake up. It is the 1st of December. It is, and we are here. We are the blessed ones, the lucky ones, and we are the ones to tell the story that we've made it to December. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. We are here. The 1st of December, 24 days before Christmas. A wonderful Wednesday, good Wednesday morning to you, and hoping you had a good night's rest. You're up and about, and we are ready for another really, really, really great day on the grind. I'm Joseph Cadore, and thanks for being part of this broadcast. We're not sure where you are, but where I am, it was a bit wet on the outside where I garden, and I'm thinking it may possibly still be. But either way, we have to do what we've got to do. We woke up with the sound of Dean Martin, Silver Bells, Jim Reeves, and the memory of an old Christmas card. And now we chiming in with, yes, the voice of Agnes Forrester, Moss International, digitally remastered and everything in the morning time. Let's do this, Grenada, wherever you are, those of you here at home, across the region, different parts of the world. It is in effect Christmas. And let's have ourselves some fun, some really, 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 really wonderful time in the morning. We kickstart the day, and today's not going to be any different. But we're going to start with the word of the day. Yes, we're going to start with the word of the day, and we certainly hope that you're ready to do with this. So the word of the day is tantamount, and tantamount is an adjective, and it, by definition, well, first it is spelled Tantamount. And I think if you went through the walls of the GBSS, I think each and every GBSS boy, from the Ashby generation, the Ashby era, would remember that. It was one of Mr. Ashby's favorite words. Everything, it always tantamount to this and that. And it's an adjective, and equivalent in value, significant in effect, and the word of the day, tantamount. So let's probably get a sentence with using the word tantamount. His statement was tantamount to an admission of guilt. They see any criticism of the president or the prime minister as tantamount to treason. The word of the day, tantamount. Add it to your vocabulary and ask any GBSS boy from the Ashby era whether or not he knows the word, and he will be delightfully pleased to say to you, oh yes, indeed. Good morning to Mr. Ashby. I hope Mr. and Mrs. Ashby, I hope you're having yourself a really wonderful morning. But we continue. There is a word of the day, and then always the thought of the day. A little bit of inspiration to get you through the day. And you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret to your success is found in your daily routine. Truth be told, you'll never change your life, not until you change something you do. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So the first thought of the day, you'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret to your success is found in your daily routine. That's what makes who we are. You do it over and over and over and over and over, and it becomes part of your life. If you're not changing it, then nothing different is going to happen. And don't fool yourself. Nothing different is going to happen. And I must say to you today that the only real limitation on your abilities is the level of your desires. If you want something, you want it badly enough, there are no limits on what you can achieve. The only real limitation on your abilities is the level of your desire. How bad do you want it? If you want it badly enough, there is no limits on what you can achieve. Dare to believe on a Wednesday? Challenge yourself. Push yourself to the next level. You want it that badly. Maybe for the student, study a little bit harder. For that businessman, you may have to put in the extra hours. Maybe later in the night. Do what you have to do. But the only limitations to your desires, to success, is your desire to persevere. If you want it badly enough, There's nothing that's going to stop you. Literally nothing that is going to stop you. And that is the absolute truth. We're keeping our eyes on the clock though, because it is 19 minutes onto the hour. 19 minutes onto the hour in the morning time. What's happening what's the latest on the COVID update? Well, as of yesterday, the dashboard from yesterday, we had 3 new confirmed cases, and giving us a total number of active cases, taking that number to 73. There were no new recoveries, so in case you're wondering, some of the numbers, yes, it sort of vacillates, it's up, down, because they're still in recovery and all of that. But 73 active cases. Yes, 73 active cases, and the number of tests done, well, yesterday was 126, and we have 3 persons hospitalized. In terms of who is vaccinated and not vaccinated, fully vaccinated persons and having received their 2 doses, 34,593, and partially vaccinated 5,968. Yes, just in case you need to know, because knowledge is in fact power. Knowledge, as you keep knowledge, here's what you need to also be reminded, that there are 3 options available to us in terms of vaccines. There is the Johnson & Johnson, there's Pfizer, and AstraZeneca. But where can we go? We continue at the old locations to get our shots. Today is Wednesday, so we can go at the Kirani James Stadium, accessing through Gate B, all the other health centers across the nation, as well as the Guelph Polyclinic. And those of you making access to the Guelph Polyclinic, you are reminded to use the top entrance. Additionally, for persons you visiting the health stations, the health centers, you are reminded that you must, protocol dictates, so as you can see on screen at the Guelph Polyclinic, testing and vaccination, please use the top entrance. For those of you needing to make a point, needing to visit the health centers, you are encouraged, it is absolutely necessary that you make an appointment. And as per usual, I'll give you the numbers for the health clinics. And the one in St. George is 440-3371. Grand Bra is 442-7623. St. David is 444-6249. Sates is 442-9317. Guelph is 444-8414, and Hillsborough Carriacou is 443-7280. Where else is testing and vaccination available? And Dr. Francis Martin's office in Grenville Street on Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And on Saturdays, it is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Keep that in mind. Keep yourself in the know. Just do what you have to do. Additionally, it's wet. It's a wet day. Listen, I don't know if we really need to say it's a wet day in the nation's capital. We're in the rainy season. That should almost become a part of the culture. But the season is not as it used. Remember the days when it rained all day? It's surprising when little raincoats, if they have the water boots, keep them. You know what? Make sure you provide them with everything they need to navigate their way through the weather. What's the plan for today? Well, the morning edition comes up in just a wee bit. When we return at the top of the hour, at 15:15 actually, I'll be speaking with Harlim Brizan, who is the Director of Statistics, as we talk about the 2020, this year's census, everything that you need to know. That conversation takes place then. At 9 o'clock, well, today is expected to wrap up of the budget presentation, the debate, that is, and it's expected that the debate will wrap up today with presentations, the final presentations, delivery by the Finance Minister, the Honourable Gregory Boyne, and the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Dr. Keith Mitchell. That's at 9 o'clock. So as such, we will join Parliament for those proceedings. So there will be no to the point. Keep that in mind. But the morning edition comes up next right here in Classic. And for those of you that is on television, you get a repeat of some of the top stories from the last evening's newscast. Classic in the morning time, GBN Television on a Wednesday. The morning edition is next.
Our top story tonight begs the question, did the majority of drivers in Grenada obtain their license by unknowingly cheating? Driving instructors in the south of the island have refused to participate in any driving exams going forward after they were asked to remove the markings on their vehicles, which has assisted students and instructors over the years in the exams we call the sticks with no prior notice. However, the man who heads the traffic department of the Royal Grenada Police Force says it's immoral. Rena Perry-Thomas brings us the details.
No mask, no sticks, no road. No mask, no sticks, no road.
That's the chant made by driving instructors who engaged in protest action at the South St. George police station on Tuesday morning. The instructors took this action after they were informed on Monday that they were to remove the markings placed on their cars to assist students in the sticks exams, which was scheduled for the following day. They refused to take part in any stick or road exams with their students going forward until this is reversed. This instructor, who preferred to be off camera, said the situation is unacceptable as there was no consultation held on the matter, while the short notice puts their students at a great disadvantage.
Our concern is this. After you teach a child, and after the child has been taught, then you examine the child. Yeah? The child when they are taught to use pen, they are taught to use pencils to write. Now what you find after they finish writing, they finish in the classroom to do an exam. They are now said, no pencils allowed, no pens allowed in the exam. How would the child able to do the exam properly?
According to another instructor, the marking have been used for over 30 years as a means of teaching the students. It is said that more time should be given to instructors and students to adjust to the new rules. Over 15 students were unable to do the exams on Tuesday morning due to the situation. They had this to say about the development.
You work for 5 years in secondary school to go and do CSEC. You know all the exams beforehand, you know what's going to happen, and then on the day of the exam, they come and tell you how to do something else, something completely different that you never prepared for in any way, shape, or form, and then they expect you to still want to do it, and they still expect you to actually do it and pass.
Because for one, we've been doing it with the Mac, and it's still pretty difficult to get everything to line up. And on top of that, they're allowing us only a certain amount of stops, and that is just very difficult to do, especially if you don't have any marks. You would have to stop only a certain amount of times. However, if they at least give us a unlimited amount of stops, maybe we could adjust ourselves to make sure, we could get a better chance of going in.
Last week, the student went up with the mark. Now this week we can't go up with the mark. And then my question is, who compensates for further lessons? What do I do now?
Senior officer at the South St. George police station escorted instructors and students from the property of the station during the protests. In seeking a response from the traffic department of the RGPF, officer in charge, Superintendent Randy Cornett, says the mechanism used by the instructor is immoral and should not continue.
The driving schools, for some time now apparently, would have engaged in placing markers along their vehicles to give a gauge or an indication to the students who would be sitting the exam, the practical exam, to give them an unfair advantage. And in my opinion, and the opinion of many others who this matter was brought up to, it's just a clear case of cheating. Really concerned about what was happening, and as a responsible individual, taking into account the mandate given to me, I had to address that without delay, and this is exactly what happened here today.
A sit-down discussion will be held between the instructors and ranking officers of the traffic department in the coming days. Meanwhile, driving instructors throughout the island are not permitted to use the markings going forward. For GBN News, I am Rena Perry-Thomas reporting.
And now let's get back to budget discussion. MP for St. Andrews Northwest Delma Thomas is standing by her political leader and Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell as concerns about leadership succession within the new National Party were recently raised publicly. Mrs. Thomas says they remain confident in tried and tested leadership. Here's Gerard Joseph with that report.
Grenadians had the opportunity via a national referendum to change the term limits of the Prime Minister and chose not to do so. Now, Parliamentary Representative for St. Andrew Northwest, Delma Thomas, considers it unfair that there have been calls for Prime Minister Mitchell to step down and a new leader elected. Thomas points to Dr. Mitchell, long having indicated to the party that he was ready to resign.
And I recall very vividly, it's a private retreat, but I still will talk about it, that he says he's willing and he's ready. But I remember the whole team saying that now is not the time, that we want you to lead us to the next election.
The MP says this is the rationale for the Prime Minister recently announcing that the next election will be his last.
And so, the Prime Minister will step down when he has to, but he would not be pushed out by any person saying, well, age, because there's no age when you're talking about leadership, Mr. Speaker. All of us here, we started young and we reach a particular age. But we're talking about tried and tested leadership in our Prime Minister. He has been tried and tested.
She impresses that it is important to note that Dr. Mitchell and his team were reasonably voted into office.
Not once, not twice. They have decided to vote us in 15-0. So how come are we talking leadership issue here? When the nation has made a decision to vote the new National Party, that's because they tried others and they have decided that they wanted. So 2013, maybe we could have said, well, there's a failed leadership, so they give us 15. But we served for 5 years and then they gave us the next 15-0. Are we talking about leadership?
Mrs. Thomas also addresses the concerns of dictatorship within the party.
You know why you're hearing about dictatorship? Because he's a leader that is able to keep his team together. That's a leader that's able to keep his team together. So you call it dictatorship, call it what you want. But that's a leader that is able to keep his team together. Do you see we are fighting? What you see among us is love.
The MP says they have a leader who understands governance, politics, and team dynamics. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
The review of the number of compulsory subjects to take in skilled areas for students beginning their secondary school journey will be a focus in
TVET and skills training in the transformation of society will be examined. Minister Pierce says it forms part of the government's agenda for economic diversification.
Mr. Speaker, opportunities for technical and vocational education for all of our learners. So, Speaker, traditionally we have this perception that TVET, when you speak skills training, you're talking about the children who are not doing well. Mr. Speaker, great mistake we have been making, and we have to correct that. The mindset when it comes to skills training has to be transformed.
Thus, the Education Minister says vocational learning will be given prominence in our education system, just as academic qualifications.
Mr. Speaker, at this time, we are working on the qualification framework. As I've said before publicly, we must get to that point. Thousands of people have been doing CVQ after CVQ. We must get to that point where we can say what a CVQ is equal to, is equivalent to.
She says the divide must be eliminated in regards to skill-based and academic learning while giving proper recognition to people who contribute to national development via skilled labor.
And so, Mr. Speaker, our skills policy will be finalized in 2022. A lot of work with stakeholders took place this year. Our TVET policy and strategy, we've already had a launch of one, Mr. Speaker, and we conclude that in 2022.
She highlights the Furniture Making Institute in Montreach and the Garment Making Factory in Pearls as the start to such a process. Meanwhile, the Education Minister knows that in 2022, an assessment of exams will be conducted.
Mr. Speaker, examinations would also be reviewed in the context of why do we put students on their examinations? What do we do with the results of examination? Careful attention, Mr. Speaker, in 2022 would be placed in that area. Do we have too much exams?
I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
The battle lines are drawn as Grenada's opposition leader Tobias Clement took the floor on Monday morning to respond to the budget as presented by Finance Minister Gregory Bowen last Friday. Highlighting and rebuffing issues highlighted by the Finance Minister, the opposition leader had one request. He wants to be fulfilled by the Keith Mitchell-led government, and here's Cherry and Blackman Stephen with that story.
It was in April of 2020 that Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell addressed the sitting of the Lower House of Representatives, saying government will not own majority shares in the Grenada Electricity Services Limited, GRENLEC, and that these shares will be offered to the Grenadian-based companies and individuals.
This will be for a temporary period. Let me make it clear. Temporary period. We hope to give out shares to business persons in this country or private sector persons because we believe the GRENLEC is in fact a very profitable business. So anybody investing in GRENLEC will do well.
While much has been, GRENLEC's shares are divested to the Grenadian people.
I would ask the government, before election is called next year or the year after, whenever it is called, make sure that we divest the shares of GRENLEC to the Grenadian people. I too may want to own a couple shares.
Mr. Clement said it will be a calamity if the shares fall back into the hands of WRB, to whom government battled and paid a massive price in order to regain control of the company.
Mr. Speaker, God forbid, as election turns on a dime, just perhaps GRENLEC might end up back in the hands of WRB. You want to take that chance? I wouldn't take that chance.
Government's move is towards renewable energy, but the opposition leader is questioning their calculations towards this planned achievement.
On Friday, Mr. Speaker, the minister here announced that Grenada would be 100% renewable by the year 2030. We're not even 1% yet. What magic is that?
As part of the 2022 fiscal relief measures, government announced that it will zero-rate the VAT on electricity consumption for domestic consumers with usage up to 500 kilowatt-hours. Government will also remove the environmental levy for this category of consumers whose usage does not exceed 500 kilowatt-hours. Additionally, with the rise in the price of fuel expected to continue, a reduction of 25% on the non-fuel charge per kilowatt hour will be instituted for all categories of consumers.
Why is it? Why, Mr. Speaker, we have to wait until we buy back GRENLEC to remove VAT on electricity? Mr. Speaker, that is not true. That is not true. So why should he come to this House and make a statement like that? VAT could be removed anytime because VAT belongs to the government. While it is a small portion, even the taxes on petrol, Mr. Speaker, does not belong to the WRB or GRENLEC. It belongs to the government.
These changes will take effect in the next billing cycle. But even this announcement was challenged by Mr. Clement.
This is good to some extent. But what was not said, Mr. Speaker, maybe starting from January of next year, but they did not specify any length of time. I don't know if it's forever, Mr. Speaker. I am wondering, is GRENLEC now going to become Grenada's government little piggy bank for slush funds to do as we please whenever?
Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
Psychosocial support for frontline workers who have been facing the pandemic head-on is being intensely pursued by the Ministry of Health. Health Minister Nicholas Steele says they have been working with Northwell Hospital in the United States, especially in regards to dealing with post-traumatic stress for the health team.
And how do I know, Mr. Speaker, that my medical team, frontline, have been under tremendous pressure there, Mr. Speaker, with them in some of our darkest moments.
Noting his first-hand experience within the ICU, the minister says he was able to witness what those frontline workers encountered daily. Moving on and moving with technology, the National Insurance Scheme is providing its members with easier access to their information and services provided by the scheme. On Tuesday, NIS launched a new website and their first ever web portal. Here's Rena Pear-Thomas with that story.
The web portal is a paperless mechanism that was developed to make it easier for employees to make their claims and access any services that the insurance scheme provides. Doctors, with just a click of a button, can file work. Manager of the National Insurance Scheme, Dorset Cromwell, in his remarks says the web portal is NIS' new way of meeting customers' needs.
We now have almost 100% of our data processing uploaded electronically. Notwithstanding this, however, this is one of the activities we have targeted on this web portal to improve. Here at the NIS, we engage in continuous improvement. We continue to innovate and, where possible, to make quantum leap. Today, we believe that this represents a quantum leap in our operations across a wide range of services.
In order for persons to access the services, both employer and employee will have to register online with up-to-date NIS documents within the registration department. The system will require an individual's national registration number along with a birth certificate or a passport number before you are allowed to register online. You must also have a valid email address on record. Information Technology Manager Dwayne Noel gave a breakdown of the operation of the portal.
You must create an account to be able to access the services on the portal. If you don't do that, then there will be nothing linked to you. So you create that account, and then by doing that account, you put in your, for example, you can create an account as an employee or as an employer. When you put in the name, the address, and you register, it will send you a confirmation code, which you would have to then confirm. And that is why what we are asking persons at this point in time, as we are rolling out the web portal, users need to confirm and make sure that we have your email address and your contact number.
Noel also spoke of some of the services offered to employers within the portal.
We have a compliance certificate. So if you're an employer and you're requesting a compliance certificate to do whatever transaction that you need to do, we have improved the process where you don't need to come in, you send you fill out the information, you indicate, and remember, because you're connected to our database, you have all the other information is populated, so you don't have to write out all of that. All you have to put in is the reason that you need a certificate for and your position in the organization.
The website and portal were developed by Low Tech Innovation and the IT department of NIS. For GBN News, I am Rena Pear-Thomas reporting.
Presentation Brothers College celebrates its Diamond Jubilee come 2022. The 75th anniversary launch was held on Monday. Chrislina John shares the details with us.
Beginning January 2022 to January 2023, the Presentation Brothers College will be celebrating its 75th anniversary under the theme, Celebrating Our Contributions to Nation Building. Ms. Perrin Johnson highlighted some of the activities that will mark the occasion.
Indeed, some solid contributions. As part of the celebrations, both past and current students will be honored for their contributions towards the life of the school in various forms. Additionally, the anniversary celebrations, as mentioned, will bring together past students here in Grenada and throughout the diaspora via a series of events. The celebration will focus on bringing the entire PBC community together, while we thank God for sustaining us through the 75 challenging years.
All past teachers, students, parents, and well-wishers are encouraged to be part of the year-long celebration. During Monday's launch, Principal of the institution, Mr. Dominic Jeremiah, acknowledged the winner of the logo competition for the 75th anniversary celebration, Zachary Julian. Zachary explained the features and their significance.
The logo represents the 75 years anniversary of PBC, of management, secretarial and auxiliary staff, and parents. The nutmeg represents Grenada, the Isle of Spice. The green leaf represents the growth of the schools from 1947 to 2022 from a relatively small student population to over 400 students. The gold represents academics, morals, and ethical standards. The college enjoyed a reputation for excellence in athletic activities as well as a result of our students' achievement.
Some of the other logo submissions will also be used as part of the branding for the 75th anniversary. The year-long celebration will open with a 75th anniversary mass on January 21st, 2022. This celebration of Holy Mass will kick off a series of monthly events throughout the year. The 75th anniversary celebrations intend to honor past and current students who have made significant contributions to the school and Grenada throughout the institution's 7.5 decades of existence. Additionally, the anniversary will bring together past students in Grenada and the diaspora through a series of in-person and hybrid events. The Presentation Brothers College Grenada was founded by Irish missionaries serving under the leadership of Blessed Edmund Rice, first opened its doors to serve the Grenadian community in January 1947. Christina John, GBN News.
And now let's turn our attention to what has been creating a buzz on social media. Rena Perry-Thomas has been looking around the platforms.
We present the news. You analyze the various topics and distill the issues as they unfold. Your distillation points matter as we're about to highlight them in our Social Buzz report.
About 8 lifeguards involved in Saturday's attempt to save a 10-year-old boy beach are said to be devastated by the outcome and will undergo professional help. GBN brought this story and you, our online audience, took to the comments section to air your views. James Daniels said, "Honestly, I think there should be more than one lifeguard station on the beach. If someone drowning all the way down past the vendor's market, no way a lifeguard can know unless someone is fast so they can reach the lifeguard in time." Veronica Jeremiah commented, "So sad. My sincere condolences to his family and friends. May his soul rest in eternal peace. I fly with the angels, little one." Paris wrote, "Oh my, so sorry to hear about this tragedy. I am not blaming anyone here, but isn't that the sole purpose of posting lifeguards on the beach, to prevent things like this from happening?" Nika Cobb said, "Yes, more needs to be done in getting equipment for the lifeguards in order to help secure and patrol the beaches of Grenada. However, all of this obviously will not be done at once without funding. It's step by step and the lifeguards are trained." Jackie Lewis wrote, "I can't just imagine the pain these parents and loved ones are going through. Very sad situation. Sleep in peace, little one." And finally, Zendaya Felix commented, "Think they need to have at least 6 lifeguards on the beaches, cause Grenada's beach is very big. Also on BBC Beach. They need some lifeguards as well." That's a wrap for tonight's Buzz. Continue to share your thoughts and concerns with us on our social media platforms.
The People's Republic of China has provided $185,000 towards a project in Bushiju, St. George. The project is scheduled for completion by the first week of February 2022. Here's Christina John with the details.
With funding from the People's Republic of China, work on a 1-story concrete structure that will serve as an information and resource center at Dragons Bay has started. This forms part of a wider project to be undertaken by the Bushiju Eco Development Association, Inc. President of the Bushiju Eco Development Association, Inc., Deborah Charles, says there is much to offer visitors in terms of the history of Dragons Bay, along with the added attraction of the underwater sculpture park with within close proximity.
Trying to come up with projects and programs that will enable community members to really benefit from any development that takes place within all the communities within Northwest. Here at Dragon Bay, what we're trying to focus on is an interpretation center where you'd get information and history of the Dragon Bay area. It has a very rich and interesting history, and we also want to have a vendor's booth, and in the future right now we're trying to seek funding to install a jetty so that we can invite catamarans and all those sorts of things right here in Dragon Bay, because there's a lot to offer here.
Vice President Dudley Antwine spoke on the objectives of such a project in the area. He spoke about the opportunities that the project will create for people in the surrounding communities.
They're going to be trained in hospitality, the history of the area, and anything that would enhance the tourist industry. So that's the first 21. Now, as we progress, we would have, I guess the fishermen would be able to, with their boats, take people to the sculpture park, which is only 10 seconds outside of of Dragon's Bay. $185,000, and this came from the People's Republic of China. And from the special funding, which was $18,000. This money that we got, is what is going to take care of this aspect of the project.
The structure, according to contractor David John, will be constructed in accordance with the building code.
Yes, it is a one-story building designed by the Ministry of Infrastructure with all specification necessary for hurricane resilience and so forth. Being an experienced builder, if there is anything I see necessary to help enhance in terms of strength, I will definitely do so.
Christina John, GBN News.
And now it's time for us to take a peek through the GBN eyesore lens.
A good eye captures all. GBN eyesore is brought to you by Clear Vision.
Life is beautiful if only you can see it. Clear Vision Eye Center helps you do just that. We provide expert service, classy eyewear, and cutting-edge technology, all with a quality customer experience. See better, feel better, and look better. Meet us today at clearvisiongrenada.com or call 444-0055, WhatsApp 409-0055, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Clear Vision Eye Center. Let's see life and the world with a clear vision.
Tonight, GBN's eyesore, we are thrilled to share with you this golden, breathtaking view. Our citizen journalist says, quote, "The sun says hello and goodbye at sunrise. It brings a salutation for new beginnings," unquote. We thank our eyesore reporter for this beautiful submission. Send us your photo and video submissions via WhatsApp on 405-3052 or our other social media platforms.
Welcome to Voyager, your favorite home goods store. Visit us today at our upstairs branch for the best variety in curtains, bedside lamps, Christmas decor, throw pillows, blankets, bathroom sets, and so much more. Downstairs you'll find all your home good items at the best prices. We hope to see you soon.
Get Rubigas. Get cooking. Rubigas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Rubigas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100-pound cylinders. Rubigas LPG, clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Rubigas? Get Rubis, get going. Get vaxxed, hey, hey, vaccinated. Get vaxxed, hey, hey, get vaccinated. Vaccinated. So wear your mask up, wash your hands up, and practice social distance. This is we chance to advance. Come let we fight this
is a message from the Grenada Red Cross and the Ministry of Health.
Let's get tough on breed larceny. It will destroy our economy. Larceny threatens our food security. Cause we'll stop breed larceny. New vigilance, new laws, and a tough judiciary. Stop Grenada's organized business crime. It's time.
To report breed larceny, call 300.
Introducing YouTube and TikTok to the Digicel Prime Bundle. Now get 1 GB daily to enjoy more YouTube. Plus 1 GB daily to like more TikTok videos. It's simply more entertainment bundled together. Get a 7-day bundle for $35 in My Digicel. More apps, more data, more fun. Digicel, better together.
State-of-the-art Ultratech gasoline and diesel, available only at Rubis stations.
You have been waiting on it all year. Now, it's your chance to make this Christmas better than ever. Get the extra cash you need with a Make This Christmas Better loan from the GUT Credit Union. Get up to $50,000 to celebrate your Christmas and make your holiday dreams come true. Home improvements, new furniture, a vehicle, debt consolidation, or even a vacation. We can help you get there. Yes, you can. Make this Christmas better with the GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Grenada, we want you to get ready. The whole of the Tri-Island for the housing census 2021. Yeah, this is a call to the nation. I have some information. It's important. I want everyone join us in support of the census. So come here, let's count the population to give the right amount we need you on board. The entire public, your support, we really need it. AI, starting from the 15th of September, help us count every number. Yeah, to improve the life of the people. We need information, calling out to the nation. We don't want to leave anyone out. So for we can the statistics, you got to partake in it. Hey, cause the nation depend on you, on you, on you. Grenada depend on you, on you, on you. Caribou depend on you. Hey, pity Matlick too. We need all of you. Yeah.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements, or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 418-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
We were given one more chance, and that's why we're here this morning to keep you informed. If you're still here, you need to be informed. So, yes, while, of course, you might be thinking it's all 24 days before the Christmas holidays, but life continues, yeah? Even after Christmas, life continues. This morning, in the midst of everything, as they say, drunk or sober, Christmas or not, you have to mind your own business. There's a lot that's happening, and I know that we've become consumed with COVID-19, the budget presentation, and everything else. But there's also a really, really important exercise that's been conducted that started in November, and it's the housing census. And certainly, you hear it ever so often. You want census? What is a census? Why is it? What is it trying to gather during a census? Well, here to tell us that and much more is Harlim Brizan, and he's the Director of Statistics within the Ministry of Finance. Good morning, Harlim. How are you? You're up and about, bright and early.
Good morning, and good morning to all listeners and viewers on the program. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being up, accepting the invitation to be up early in the morning. We hear of it. We've seen the promos, we hear in conversation, census. But what is a census, Harlim?
Okay, so a census, a population and housing census is the total process of collecting, compiling, evaluating, analyzing, and disseminating information that pertains, statistical data, I should say, pertaining to all persons and households in a country at a specified time. It is by far the most largest statistical undertaking of any national statistical office. It's a very complex activity. It targets, our census targets usual residents of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. And that includes the non-institutional population living in private dwellings. So these are the typical households. Also population living in institutions, for example, the prisons and the nursing home, and also the homeless population. So we try to count the homeless population in an aim of leaving no one behind.
Even if it means going into the high woods?
Well, once we know they're there, persons would go, right? And we have the support of the police who know where those persons, where they're sleeping, where they normally sleep, right?
So I'm assuming as part of that core function is one to be able to get, let's put it locally, a head count of everybody on the island.
Yes, so it is to get a head count, right? First and foremost, it's an important activity of stock taking,
right? But
also we gather key information, right? Critical information will be captured in the census. For example, on the demographic composition of the population in terms of age, sex, ethnicity, religion, marital status, union status, also information on education. For example, the highest level of education attained, highest exam pass in terms of performance. Also information on training. Then we collect information on health and disability. For example, the diseases diagnosed by a medical practitioner.
Right.
The health insurance. Also whether persons are living with a physical disability. A very important section is also the one on economic activity, where we would find out persons where they work. And with this census, in fact, we're looking at both paid and unpaid work. So, but in terms of unpaid work, our focus would be on unpaid domestic care work. But we normally give information on paid work in our labor force surveys, right? But in terms of paid employment and in terms of employment status, we look at also unemployment and economic activity. Then there's a big section which a lot of persons don't some people wonder why it is that we ask these questions as a housing section, right? Because it's a population and housing census.
Right.
And here we capture information on the quality of housing in terms of the material of the roof, the external walls, the number of rooms. The number of rooms is an important indicator to detect overcrowding. It's an important living standards indicator. Also, access to key amenities like access to electricity, water, garbage disposal. Access to ICT is very, very important now. ICT is also a very important welfare indicator, and we see that from our experience with COVID, that persons are excluded basically if they do not have access to ICT. So, and we, in terms of assets, we find out information about other assets and appliances and so that the household have. A lot of persons find that these questions are a bit invasive. But
well, I was just about to get to that. I mean, I said, I'm wondering what is off limits, Harlim?
Yes, but it's important in any. So the census also speaks to welfare and living conditions, right? And there's a measure of poverty. You can do an asset-based measure of poverty to really understand what is the status of the population in terms of their living conditions, right? Other indicators is the bathroom facilities and the toilet facilities and so these are also important welfare indicators. So basically, it helps the policymakers to determine the needs, to plan for the population in terms of who needs what and where.
We're going to get into the specifics in terms of the policies because at the end of the day, but let's talk about how it started when the 10th of November.
Yes, so that was our start date.
A basic is done how in the form of an interview, is it, or is it a questionnaire? Yes, interview format.
So we do have there are several forms for enumerating the population, and but before we start with those forms, in terms of the how it is done, I think it would be beneficial to note that we have subdivided the country into what we call enumeration districts, right? Which is a demarcation of the country. Within each parish, we have enumeration districts, and this is basically for census and survey purposes, right? These enumeration districts have clear defined boundaries. They are normally bounded by roads, rivers, the sea, or bridges. And enumerators, who are the persons who would be administering the interview, these persons are trained in how to canvass the enumeration district so that they would capture every single building and not just the households, because we actually count every single building and gather information, basic information on every single building in the country. And this form is what we call our listing form or our visitation record, right? Now, in completing the visitation record, we will come across dwelling units, and within the dwelling units, we'll find the households. And then when we find a household, we administer the household questionnaire. So that is a questionnaire.
Right.
And then if we meet an institution, we will administer the institutional questionnaire, right? Now, for the homeless population, there's also a separate form.
What do you ask?
These are some of the standards, the standards, international standards that we have to we have to be guided by.
What are you going to ask the homeless people, Harlim?
Very, very basic information. Well, the homeless persons, we don't ask much information. It's just about and basically not even asking information, but just seeing where they are, and we ask information on their sex, Well, you would see that. You could see that, and the age. So
Okay.
if they know the age, but we ask information. So very, very basic information for the homeless.
We're going to get into the housing ones that you do, but I'm particularly interested to know that if you do take account of the homeless people, and you see more and more that more people seem to be becoming homeless. What is government? Is there a policy? Because you said the purpose of the census ultimately is to guide policies and different elements of the economy. But what does government do as it relates to the homeless?
Okay, well, I'm not too sure I'm in the right position to speak to that.
I'm going to leave
it. But the important thing is that the information is provided so it would guide the decision-making process, and that is our role. Our key role as statistician and as the Central Statistical Office. But there are other ministries responsible for social development, the Ministry of Health, that would be responsible for this. So they are all important stakeholders in this census process. So we are not the only ones involved. There is a census advisory committee that provides oversight to this entire process, and those key ministries are also a part of this.
The interview, the process with the data collection element that involves the household. I've had the experience of it's quite a while. I haven't. When was the last census done, though, Harlim?
Right.
Because I'm starting to think about it, and I'm like,
yes,
I haven't done this in quite a while.
Exactly. So a census is such a huge and expensive undertaking that it cannot be done on a regular basis. So normally in most countries, including the countries of the CARICOM, a census is done once every 10 years. And we are actually in what we call the 2020 round of population and housing census. That is, the census is basically a mandate of the United Nations, and all countries are expected to conduct a census around this time. Despite the pandemic, the census still has to be conducted. Our last census was done in 2011. Our census date was May 12, 2011.
As you mentioned, pandemic. I'm assuming that the COVID as it is, it actually introduces a number of challenges to the process. If so, what are they, and how do you overcome them?
Yes, it introduced a number of challenges that we have to be working through. The situation is so fluid, so we have to be guided by the Ministry of Health in how we lead. Now, one of the things is that we have instituted. Well, normally the census is mainly face-to-face interviewing. So we go from house to house, and we do conduct the interviews as fast as we meet persons, households. We conduct the interview. But because of the pandemic, there is another option for telephone interviewing. Okay. So what we are doing now is mainly collecting telephone numbers, right? Because so our census is now computer-assisted personal interviewing or computer-assisted telephone interviewing. So we are capturing telephone numbers so that the interview could be conducted at a later date. But if there are persons who are comfortable being interviewed by an enumerator when they come, they can opt to do so as well, because we would not want to risk not getting the information from that household, especially if they are willing. Now, bearing in mind that we have established strict protocols for conducting face-to-face interviews, and this protocol is that the enumerator must maintain the physical distancing, the 6 feet. They must wear their mask, and with a face shield. They must sanitize their hands prior to the interviews and after the interviews. And the interviews should be outdoors.
Okay.
Right? well ventilated area in the veranda or in the yard. And so basically these are some of the key protocols that we have instituted for doing the face-to-face interviews.
That interview takes about it's how long in duration? Average?
It's about 45 minutes to an hour, right? And I know persons have concerns about the time that it takes.
That seems quite long.
But we are just asking persons to bear with us, because this is once every 10 years that we go out and count the population, right? You know, the same time you will take to look at a movie or a series.
Like seriously.
Please entertain us, because it is for your benefit at the end of the day.
Right? When I'm watching a movie, there is no stress of nobody in front of me. It's just my remote. But I understand the point that you're making.
Yes, so we just asking persons to cooperate with the enumerators, because at the end of the day, it's a good, a national good. Actually, what we do in statistics, we produce what we call a public good, and it doesn't only benefit. And I'm going into the beneficiaries, but it doesn't only benefit the government, but a number of stakeholders that request this that we request this information. So we produce this public good called official statistics. For example, so we have the private sector, very important. They normally request this information because they are part of the. They have to plan for the country in terms of demand and supply. The media, right? They all are very important stakeholders. The churches, the development organizations, NGOs, right? And in terms of and also funding agencies, right? Because if we do not have the information to provide to relevant funding agencies, then Grenada may not benefit from any assistance geared towards sustainable development. So this is very critical information. Normally when a funding agency comes, the first thing they ask for is, where is the data?
Oh, okay.
And our role as statisticians and as a statistics office is to ensure that we have this data so that the government will be in a better position for being able to access funds to deal with some of its development challenges.
So what happens? So let's be good. The person comes. We've gone through the protocol and we've agreed. This is where we're going to do this. Can an individual decide refuse the enumerator's invitation to be interviewed? Can I say to them, you know what? No can do. Not interested. Leave me alone.
Okay. So, as much as possible, we encourage persons to partake in the census. We do a lot of moral suasion. We do a lot of publicity to ensure that persons understand the importance of it. But I should also speak to some of the legal implications, because in all countries there are legal implications for refusing to take part in the census, and I'm speaking based on the census regulations, right?
Right.
So there is a census regulation in effect, right? That speaks to the census period, which is from the 10th of November to the 30th of April. Now, the census regulation was preceded by a census order, and that is normally the case in most countries. And according to the census regulation, that persons refusing to supply this information actually commits an offense.
That's quite interesting.
And it's very interesting. So we do have a legal obligation as well, right? So if we have disclosed any information on anyone, we ourselves have committed an offense, and that is a major offense under the and we could speak some more about that. But in terms of the public or the respondents, they, based on the regulations, they have committed an offense, and I think there's a fine of $5,000, and there's also a recurrent fine. But we, as much as possible,
have you ever got? Okay, I was about to ask that. I mean, it is hard times, Harlim.
No, we don't enforce. That is why we encourage, and we're trying to appeal to law-abiding citizens. But at the end of the day, if you refuse to take part, just know that based on the law of the census regulations, you have committed an offense. But most times in most countries, it's we use moral suasion. It is not something that we would like to enforce.
Right.
So because our interest is in getting accurate information and reliable information.
On the issue,
and that is why we need to.
Right. That's why we need to. Finish what you were saying.
That is. Oh, so that is why we need to encourage persons and not anger persons. So we encourage them so they to understand, to see the need to provide the information as accurately as possible.
How do you determine that, Joy? I'm assuming you just have to assume what the person says to you is the truth?
Exactly. And the respondents are trained to take whatever the person say to them. If there is any clarity needed, then they would probe a little, right? So that they would be able to capture the correct response, because the enumerators cannot falsify information. That is another major offense. So apart from what you may say, revealing information, revealing the identity of persons, and revealing disclosing their information, another major offense is a falsification of information.
So whatever I say to you, that's what you have to report.
That is what we need to report, because there are checks and balances. We do have supervisors, spot checking. They are responsible to do for doing spot checking, and sometimes they may conduct the entire interview again, just to make sure that all the information was captured correctly. But it's just a very small sample of the interviews that they would collect, and they would explain to the respondents that we need to do our quality control, and this is something very important for statistics. Right. Quality assurance.
Who pays?
These are the mechanisms that we have in place. And as I speak to quality assurance, I should speak to our new approach in doing the census, because this is our first digital census.
Right.
So it's not paper anymore. So there's a lot of security in that, because we have to protect the data. We have that legal responsibility to protect the data and the anonymity of the respondents, and in addition to that, it causes us to achieve a high quality of data, because there are certain validation rules that we built into the program. So if there is something that the enumerator enters and it is inconsistent, then the system would flag it as an error.
What if though, Harlim, I agree to do an interview, but there are aspects of the interview I'm not totally comfortable with?
That is okay. Yes, that is okay. But we still encourage persons to, as much as possible, to answer all the questions, because we are serving many different stakeholders, right? It's not just, as I said, it's not just the government, but all the various social partners and so who may have a stake in a particular indicator. So I know one sensitive question persons have concerns with is a question on income, right? All censuses ask that question. Persons are afraid to give their income, even though we have it in income bands.
Yeah, so why you asking me?
Well, we need to know this because it's an important welfare indicator as well. And you can compare it, you can do your cost tabulation with other indicators to basically understand.
So hopefully hopefully after this census, we'll get to realize that a lot more Grenadians catching in then.
Well, exactly. So the thing about it, and I also say this is one of the this is an activity where everybody participates. All your voices is important for persons' voices to be heard, and participating in statistical activities like the census is one way of ensuring that that your voice is heard, and also it's one way of contributing to nation building. Because and let me go to our slogan, which is nothing about us without us, because we all count. So we want to provide the information. We want persons to be a part of the decision-making process. Everybody should be a part of the decision-making process, so that their needs in the final analysis could be reflected.
So let me ask, in terms of the count, while we're at it, is there anybody that is exempted, as we keep our eyes on the clock, 10 minutes onto the hour? Who's exempted from the count? Because you know that there's a lot more Grenadians living outside of Grenada than there is those here. So if I'm here for holidays, or I got stuck in Grenada, how do I qualify? I have a house, but I don't necessarily live here. I'm just passing through.
Yeah, so definitely. And as I said earlier, the questionnaire, the household questionnaire, is targeted, well, the count and the questionnaire is targeted to usual residents.
Okay.
So if you're not a usual resident, and being a usual resident means that you have lived or you intend to stay in the country for more than 6 months. And that is the definition. That's the international standard definition that we use. So if you're here and you're here for more than 6 months, yes, you will be counted. If you intend to stay, so if you're here for about 2 months and you intend to...
It's quite a lengthy, extensive exercise. Who holds the purse to it?
The government is the major funder of this census, because, as I said, it is a public good. It is an offering for that is one of the activities that government fund, because and you would understand that information is very, very important and very costly, right? So this is an activity that most government fund, and that would have to budget for it. But we do get support from international development partners to assist the government.
Can you tell us how much this budget is costing us? Because you've had to embrace technology with COVID and everything. I'm assuming the cost has gone up compared to previous years.
Yes. So the government has, in the last budget, has budgeted 2.7 million for the census, right? And well, this budget we'll see. But I mean, there is a provision in this budget as well, because of the delays, right? We were hoping to, if we had started on September the 15th when we intend to start, we had hoped to finish by the end of this year. Right. But because there was so much delays in terms of COVID, right? We actually had to conduct 3 training activities as a result of this, because then there was a very high attrition rate. So even though we started on the 10th of November, we did not start with everybody. So we have to be so flexible because of this pandemic situation. And we are now training a cohort of persons who will go out in the field from January. From January the 17th, which is actually our new reference date for the census, January 17, 2022, and that is the date that all information is being reference to, right? So you would imagine that what we are doing now is mainly listing and collecting telephone numbers, and we are doing some early enumeration, right? I mean, we don't foresee that there will be major changes between now and January in most of the households, but to take care of this, we included a question that speaks to whether or not the household would foresee any change between now and January. So if they foresee any change, then the enumerators come January would know that they would have to go back to these households to verify that this change. So it's a lot of it's a lot of things that we have to introduce, new creativity that I would say that we have to introduce during this time in getting the census right. Certainly the aspect of CAPI, computer-assisted personal interviewing, and computer-assisted telephone interviewing assists us a lot in this type of environment, because CATI affords us the ability to do a close to contactless operation.
Wow. I know, Talon, I know we just touched on the surface here, but this is just the introductory conversation, and we do promise the general public that we'll continue to provide them details and information as the exercise continues. And I want to say thank you, Harlim, the Director of Statistics with the Ministry of Finance, and certainly an important job that you're doing, and I do hope that the idea is that we can increase sensitization, the need for this to be done. I've been through the process already, and I know sometimes it can really, like, seriously, what you need to know that for? But sometimes it is what it is. And then they will ask you how much microwave you have. You're not going to ask me how much microwave I have in my house, right? Good Lord. Anyway, thank you, Harlim. All the best to you. My guest this morning, Harlim Brizan, the Director of Statistics in the Ministry of Finance. Continue to do what you're doing, comrade. We'll link up again so we can continue this conversation.
Thank you, Joseph.
It's the son of this classic in the morning time. We almost I have not seen our dear friend Junior Checkley. I'm not sure if he probably got swept away. Master Control, but here's what we do. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you on Classic in the Morning Time. Good morning, Grenada, on Classic and GBN Television. Especially good morning to those of you that's on social media. Kipling Francis, Julian Alexander out there in New York, the regular patrons on social media. Appreciate your contribution as always. We'll be right back in a short.
Running low on groceries? Why not visit realvalueiga.com and experience our new online shopping platform? Place your order, then go out and enjoy your day to spend more time with friends and family. Delivery available within select locations or in-store pickup available. Sounds simple, right? It is. Stress less, live more with Real Value IGA online store, where good food begins.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements, or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Quick link up with our dear friend Junior Checkley. He's somewhere out there. Let's see if we can get an appreciation. Well, on my side where I am, the weather is held up quite a bit. But I must say to you, we've seen videos of flooding at different parts of the island. So this is what so we're getting shots of the Carronage. That's just in front of Renwick and Thompson, moving towards the on the Carronage as you move towards the Hubbard's Old Julian's building. With they see there's the restrictions on the presence of cones, and we see that the police force, the regular fishing vessels on the Carronage, but it seems to be rather not much in the way of traffic. The regular taxi stand that is there. So notice he's moving into the city center as it is, but certainly not much I'm seeing by the way of traffic. The rain has held up a bit, and I want to encourage you, remind you folks that this is the hurricane, not officially, with hurricane season coming to an end. Well, as in December, but remember we are in the rainy season, and southern people we seem to be getting, I'm not sure for whatever reason, once the rain starts to fall, I'm not sure if it's the trauma of the experiences we've had in the past, but that's what the Carronage looks like. Not much in the way of heavy traffic. Not sure why, but you probably would assume that by now this time of the morning there would be a heavy flow of traffic. But there just seems to be regular flow of traffic. But I want to encourage you. You can see there's a lot of pools of water. So you want to be mindful if you're on the road. Be conscious of persons, other road users, pedestrians. And remember, the road is wet. Give yourself enough braking distance, and keep that in mind as you make your way. Junior's just making a turn there. That's just outside the old library. Unfortunately, that's be old, but it is old. That's the old public library, and he's making his way onto towards the Sendell Tunnel. Onto the Sendell Tunnel. But that's what it is. We have to leave Junior for now. He's going to make his way into Sendell Tunnel. We'll see what's happening under the tunnel. Not more. It's one of the areas that's normally succumbs to flooding quite easily. But at least we're happy that as of now, not much happening under the tunnel, even by the way of flooding, as based on normal expectations. But that's what's happening in the heart of town, folks. So we have to leave you there for now as we head into town. It is quite early, very, very early days yet in downtown St. George, but we continue to monitor the weather. But we can tell you in some parts of the island there are places where there's been extensive flooding. We've seen videos. Want to encourage you to be cautious and keep your eyes peeled for other road users as we continue to navigate our way through the day. It's a rainy day. Nothing unusual, Grenada. It is rainy season. If you've already left home and you are leaving home, please carry your rain gears, your raincoats, your umbrellas, whatever is it that you need. Until then, so long, everybody. Reminding you that the housing census is on. You want you to comply with the new enumerators and provide whatever information that needs to be done. Until then, so long, everybody. Reminding you, though, by the way of programming, at 9 o'clock, there is no to the point. We then do the link up with the folks at Mount Weldale, Lads in Parliament House, for the wrap-up of the budget presentation. The Finance Minister and Prime Minister is expected to present this morning. Until then, so long, everybody.